a b-boy. From the old to the new, still a b-boy. Too bold for the school, still a b-boy. East coast to the west, b-boys worldwide. We supposed to be blessed, still a b-boy.
This week, we're heading to Hollis, Queens to talk about maybe the most influential rap group in hip-hop history. At a time when hip-hop was still relatively unknown outside of cities like New York, this group brought it to the masses. The trio of Run, DMC, and Jam Master Jay changed the whole landscape and in nothing but positive ways. This week, we're talking about the Kings. Top 10 Run DMC songs. Joining me, as always, Raven Hunter, and back on the round table, LEJ, Lord Emperor Justice. I'm going to start number 10, and I'm going to 1985's King of Rock, speaking of King of Rock, and I'm going with You Talk Too Much. Now, this is such an important album to me. This is my genesis. This is the first rap album I had. This is the album I heard from an older cousin, begged my dad to get me that tape, and I got it, and it was my life. And it was either this or You're Blind at number 10 for me. But I think You Talk Too Much is a little bit better. As a kid, those type of songs just got me. But I want everyone to go back and watch the video to You Talk Too Much. I had forgotten it, but I went back and revisited it. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like Run DMC are rapping and they're surrounded by mimes, like white painted mimes just doing weird things. It's like the 80s were wild, man. And this video is just weird as shit. But anyways, You Talk Too Much. You Never Shut Up. I had to give it some love. Number 10, Raven, what do you got?
Number 10, surprised me. I didn't even know this was going to make my list, but it was 1989's Ghostbusters 2. God, I love that fucking song. It's silly and fun. Shit, when I think about Ghostbusters music, I don't even think about the OG. I think about the sequel because Run DMC killed that shit.
Didn't Bobby Brown do a Ghostbusters song in that
so.
second one? I think too.
Either that or he was in it, like he had a cameo or something.
Yeah, he had something to do with that second Ghostbusters movie. But no, great Ghostbusters. LEJ number 10. What do you got?
Mary, Mary.
Why you bugging?
And I think, it's, to me, I remember when that came out, it seemed like it was a good track, but to me it was like, I don't know, I wasn't that impressed because they basically used I knew the song that they were using, so I thought it was just, take a song and try to put some hip hop slang in it, so I didn't, give it that much credit.
And what's funny is at the time it came out, I didn't know the original. When to me this was a Run DMC until maybe I was 10 years later. It's like, oh shit, they flipped an old, I don't know, is it a Beatles song or something like that?
It's an old pop song.
Right. But that was on my honorable mentions. Mary, Mary, Why You Bugging? Tougher Than Leather, such a dope album. And speaking of Tougher Than Leather, my voice just got really high. But number 9, 88's Tougher Than Leather. And I'm going with a song I don't think anyone else will pick. Was not a single, not well known. And that song is Radio Station. I love this track. It's a faster track. They're rapping faster. Dope scratching by Jay in the hook. Coming off their monster success of Raising Hell, I think Tougher Than Leather actually is a more complete album than Raising Hell, even though Raising Hell is looked at as the big, important, big one. But Radio Station, I just always loved. It was different. It was faster. When this album first came out and I was a kid, this was probably my favorite song on that record. My first favorite song on this record, when it first came out. DJ Jason, Radio Station is my number 9. Raven, what is yours?
So with my number 9, actually, it was your number 10. It surprised me. It was 1985, King of Rock, You Talk Too Much. I didn't think anybody else was going to bring that song up because I just remember, being a kid, that song always made me laugh and shit. And I was listening to it over the last couple of days. Like, that shit still kind of makes me laugh. It's just a ridiculous song. It's fun, and that's what I like. I like when they do their fun shit, so You Talk Too Much.
Number 9, Justice, what is yours?
Christmas in Hollis.
Nice.
And I think it's such a stand the test of time track, to do something seasonal for Christmas. So I thought, it was ingenious to do that. It was kind of daring, because it would kind of be seen like, some people might have just thought it was just, like corny, or they were just trying to just get over. But I thought that was ingenious to do that, because it's a song that'll be played forever.
And it's one of the better hip hop Christmas songs ever made.
Yeah.
I mean, when I think Christmas, there's a few songs I think of, and that is one of them. And that was also on my honorable mentions. We are to 8 already, and I'm going to the beginning, 1984's self-titled album, Run DMC. And I'm going with It's Like That. This is such an important classic album for hip hop. And this is one of the classic songs off this album. Gives you some social commentary, which, you got in the message, but wasn't a lot of hip hop talking about real things. If you say, quick, name 5 Run DMC songs, my mind would automatically probably pick It's Like That. Just classic Run DMC back and forth, hard beats at the times when other rappers were having beats more like disco. So ahead of their time, so iconic. And it's only number 8, which proves how much great music the trio made. So It's Like That is my number 8. Raven, what is your number 8?
See, number 8, I went on 1993's Down with the King, which I was telling you a little bit before the show that surprisingly became my favorite album. I think that is my favorite album from Run DMC, and I never thought I would say that over the OG album, and probably three other albums that I would have picked over that 10 years ago. But I went with Can I Get It Yo with Pete Rock and CL Smooth.
Well, that was the title track, Down with the King. Can I Get It Yo didn't have Pete Rock and CL Smooth.
Nope, you're right. I wrote that wrong. Down with the King is what I was supposed to write.
Yeah.
So I listened to that album a lot today. So my bad.
No, it's fine. No, that's a dope song. All right, number 8, Justice, what do you got?
From Tougher Than Leather album, 1988, Beats to the Rhyme. I like that. I really like that song because it kind of had like that old school classic flavor in it, because like the samples and so forth. But the way the beat was and how they were doing it, it sounded like they were like updating themselves. So I had a lot of respect for that song.
I think that might be their most underrated song that probably doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah.
And they ride that beat so well. And another one that will probably get brought up again later, Beats to the Rhyme. Number 7. And I was talking about opening tracks. I'm going to the opening track from 1986's Raising Hell, and that's Peter Piper. Just like these other things, if I hear Peter Piper, I think in Run Rocks Rhymes. I love dope opening tracks, and this is one of them. What a way to start what would become their most iconic album. And speaking of iconic, this beat is so iconic, right? That Peter Piper beat. So many lines in here, this song that just became synonymous with hip hop culture. I'm not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good. I mean, that's as B-boy as it gets.
There it is.
Right? So much. All 3 were hitting on all cylinders on Peter Piper, and they just killed it. So my number 7 was Peter Piper. What was yours, Raven?
I'm glad you went that route, because that would have been my number 11. I barely put Ghostbusters over it, and that was just for the fun factor of Ghostbusters. Right. But I went on 2001's Crown Royal, which is not my favorite album. But I went with Take the Money and Run with Everlast. And that's because, fuck, that beat. Something about that beat, it feels more Everlast than Run DMC, but it sounds really good on that beat. And the flow is solid as fuck on that beat. And the flow can be a little spotty on that album. So that's why I like the flow more than anything. But Everlast did his Everlast thing, and I always like his choruses anyway. So
no, out of the handful of collabs on there, that is, I agree, one of the better ones. Because you're right, some are very hit and miss.
There's a lot of spotty moments in that.
A lot of spotty moments. Yeah. It can get rough sometimes. Take the Money and Run. Interesting. What is your number 7, Justice?
I'm not sure if I have the name right. I think it's Crush Groove, and from Crush Groove when they did the song, and it was with the Fat Boys and Sheila E.
Yeah, Crush Groove.
I love that. I thought that was just so dynamic the way the beats changed, and that the fact they were doing that with them, and it's like one of my all-time favorite like moments in movie history, so I love that hard kind of deep beat that they had in there.
No, absolutely classic. I mean, you younger people out there need to go check out things like Beat Street and Wild Style and Breaking and all them joints, because that laid the foundation for your Drakes and all these other
people out there listening. Go look at Ice-T and Breaking. Go look at that.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
It ain't the Ice-T you got in your head right now, no doubt about it. All right, back on track number 6. And I am going to 1993's Down with the King. And like you, the title track, Down with the King, featuring Pete Rock and CL Smooth. The album before, Back from Hell, let's just be honest, it was weak. It had this New Jack Swing sound that just totally didn't work. It did not fit Run DMC. So Run DMC had to come back hard to prove they're still relevant. And I think they really did with this song. Of course, the beat by Pete Rock, who also raps a verse on here along with CL Smooth. And both Pete Rock and CL Smooth's verse, I love because it's giving props to Run DMC. I love how CL ends his, look, ma, no shoelaces, and goes to the hook, just like, that puts
what universe I went to.
Yeah. I just love that. It gives, chills up my spine.
The video is sick too. I like the way the video was sick. I like the way people were just popping in and out like famous rapper dude. Like, oh wow, look who's in the video.
It was full of famous rappers. Even Eazy-E makes an appearance in there. So there was rappers from all over in that video. And great hook. If they didn't have so many iconic songs, this might be higher, because I just fucking love this song. Down with the King is great. So that made number 6. What made number 6 for you, Raven?
I went to 1987. It's a very special Christmas compilation with Christmas in Hollis. There was a benefit CD for the Special Olympics, and that was just a great cause, especially in the late 80s, for rappers to come together and do that kind of thing. Plus, there wasn't just rappers, there was rock and pop. Everybody was on that album. But Christmas in Hollis, like he was saying, stood the test of time, and I'm pretty sure that opens Die Hard too, so you can't really hate on that either. But yeah, I can still go word for word on Christmas in Hollis and listen to it every day. Like, I listen to it all on and off today, and it's a fucking Christmas song, so that tells you how good that song is.
Well, with that opening Die Hard, that proves the argument that Die Hard is a Christmas movie first.
Yes.
Facts.
Right. But number 2, like you both said, it really does seriously stand the test of time. In 2023, it doesn't sound dated. I mean, it still sounds like a great Christmas record. Amazing track. Number 6, what do you got, LEJ?
It's Tricky.
To rock a rhyme.
And
that's right.
I thought they have like their fast songs and their slow songs, and it's like that one to me was kind of like a combination of both. Like it wasn't, you weren't expecting them to rhyme like that on that beat. So, and of course, it's shit in White Girls is hilarious. So,
But you're right. The hook is fast, but they rhyme in a slower Run DMC cadence. That is an interesting combination. You're right. And I don't know if I ever really thought about it that way.
Yeah, because I don't think the other songs it was either slow or fast. So that's what kind of caught me about that.
We are halfway. We are at 5. And I'm going to what I think is the best Run DMC album, 1988's Tougher Than Leather, at least the most complete. And another dope opening track. Whose house? Run's house.
Run's house.
Just a great vibe to this song. Great live song. More proof that I think they took their lyrical skill up a notch with this album. They just really seemed on point almost on every song on Tougher Than Leather. And as always, dope scratching by Jay, which was such an important part of the formula of Run DMC. And of course, all of hip hop back then, the DJ was more important, but especially Run DMC. Jay was such an important part of that mixture. And to this day, if I go out into a crowd and yell, whose house, I'll get a Run's house response back from at least someone. So Run's house. Go ahead.
to say about like I like that song because they also filmed it in the Village in New York, and I went to school at NYU. I was down there when they filmed some of it. I saw them filming it, you know. So it was that was pretty cool for me. That's why I always think about seeing it, you know.
That's
Uh,
cool. That's cool. You should have photobombed it, just jumped in the back,
I know, right?
tackle DMC or something.
Crew I was in, we opened for them. I was in a crew, we opened for them back in the day, you know.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in a crowd. I didn't have a CD. I was like, "Hey, you remember me?" You know, I don't know. I feel like, who's that kid? You know?
No, that's dope. They're filming the video and you were right there. Run's House was my five. What is your five, Raven?
I went on 1993 again, but I went to the Judgment Night soundtrack with Me, Myself, and My Microphone with Living Color. That soundtrack's super fucking underrated for one, and that song is hard as shit. The beat with Run DMC on it sounds hard as shit, and they did a lot of that, you know, rock, rap, and shit back in the day in different ways. But that song was just heavy, and I don't know, it was different for Living Color too. So it was definitely just a good idea for a collaboration.
That was on my honorable mentions. I love that song. Right down to the hook where they're sampling, old Run DMC song. But you're right, it was a perfect
Yeah,
mesh of rock and rap, which, like you said, Run DMC, I mean, look at early Run DMC. There's rock guitars and half the songs and the beats. I mean, it only made sense to have Run DMC over that type of track. I'm glad that got brought up because I really wanted it to get brought up. So thank you. Number five, Justice. What do you got?
You're Blind. I love that song to this day. I love that song because it was just different to me. The guitar riff was so hard, and just the fact that they were talking about, you know, people not being able to see wearing glasses. You know, I just thought that was just such a fascinating concept to do at that time. I've just always been in love with that bass guitar, right? I even actually used that in one of my songs back in the day. I that's one of like my favorite guitar riffs in like rap history. So I love that song.
Yeah, that was definitely an honorable mention. It was flirting with number 10. It was that or You Talk Too Much. Because it was
Yeah.
another, and it was a fun song. I mean, the hook itself has just always got me. All right, number four. And I'm going back to the beginning, 1983's self-titled Sucker MCs. It feels wrong to have this so low because of what it meant to hip hop, the culture. This changed hip hop forever. Just this b-boy vibe. There's not much more iconic opening lines than 2 years ago. A friend of mine asked me to say some MC rhymes. I mean, it doesn't get much more iconic than that. And Run does the first two verses, but then when DMC comes in on the third one, they drop the beat and
Yeah.
DMC's just rapping over the scratching. I mean, it still gives me chills up my spine,
It fit like a blueprint, like for like, you know, hip hop for years to come.
Exactly. I mean, this is hip hop. This is true hip hop. Sucker MCs. I mean, Run DMC should get a royalty check from every record, hip hop record sold to this day. Sucker MCs was so important to the music, the culture. I mean, just hip hop in general. Like I said, it feels wrong to have it at 4, not higher, but damn, when DMC comes in over that scratching, shit,
Yeah.
chills up the spine. Number 4, what is yours, Raven?
it somehow happens at least once a show, it seems. But Sucker MCs was mine, and I also feel bad for how, especially with at least one of these songs I got higher, I'm just kind of like, that's just because it's a personal favorite. Let's be real. You know, there's no way it's better than these songs. But as you said, it changed hip hop, and it's one of those tracks where like it just proves that without Run DMC would we even really have mainstream rap.
Yep, they completely changed the game. And you're right, every list, it's amazing how our lists line up sometimes. Number 4,
Yeah.
Sucker MCs. Do you have Sucker MCs at number 4, Justice?
No.
What do you got?
I have it at number 3. At number 4, I have Walk This Way with. And I thought, you know, that was a monumental track in a moment in hip hop. to combine like those two genres, and just the way that the video was done, with like Aerosmith on one side and they're playing the song, and then JMSA starts scratching and they're like, what the hell is that? When they do the rhyme, he just sticks his head through the wall, and next they're doing it together. That was iconic, especially for like the MTV era, because it was like, oh, people listen to rock, some people listen to rap, and then to see that fusion together, like, it blew people's minds. And I think that set a precedent, like in hip hop, for being able to actually utilize like other music and other bands. I mean, if that was never done, there would have never been like like Public Enemy and whatchamacallit, and I'm talking about who was when they would Bring the Noise, they did it with who they do it was a rock.
Anthrax, I think.
Right? Yeah, there wouldn't have been combinations like that. I just think it set a wonderful precedent.
Or any of the Judgment Night soundtrack.
You're right. You're right. That video is so iconic. And Walk This Way was so important because it brought hip hop to the masses. You had kids who might not have ever thought about listening to Run DMC, but now they will because Aerosmith is on it. And it's an Aerosmith song and it introduces it to them, and it might have converted some people over. But one thing it was on my honorable mentions, but one thing that I always thought was the slickest thing about this, you got the first verse, Ron and DMC are rapping, and you can just hear the lead singer to Aerosmith, Steven Tyler, coming in on the overdubs a little bit, like on a word here and a word there. Second verse, he comes in a little bit more, and then the third verse is just him. It's like they built him in the background. Whoever's idea that was, genius. Just genius.
But just the fact that they scratched it, that's what I loved. I was like, oh,
right.
Wow.
Yeah,
they just scratched our record, and they're like, what the hell is that? I thought that was just so cool.
And I know it's well documented. At the time, Run and DMC didn't want to do that record. They thought they wanted nothing to do with remaking an Aerosmith song, and came to be their biggest hit ever, commercially at least. So that is a good pick. That was on my honorable mentions. We are to the top three, and 1986, Raising Hell. It was brought up before. It's tricky. With the exception of Walk This Way, which we just talked about, this is probably the next most well-known Run DMC song to non-hip-hop heads. Peter Piper opens the album, which I talked about, but it goes right from that into It's Tricky. And It's Tricky might even take it to the next level. It's a timeless song that I think still holds up 100%, all these years later. And it's got a classic video that I always remembered with Penn and Teller, where Penn and Teller are doing 3-card Monty on the streets, hustling people.
Yeah.
Run DMC and Jay come in on a helicopter, land right down in the streets, and start hustling Penn and Teller. It's just a great video. Tight lyrics, catchy hook, dope beat. It's tricky. Number 3, Raven, what is your number 3?
Number 3 for me was Run's House. And just because of, like you said, it's iconic. It's whose house. Everybody knows whose fucking house it is. Killer beat, just timeless song. Another one of those songs I can put on and people are going to, like, if I put it on in my store when I'm running my shop, then people are, vibing whenever I put shit like that on. So
you could just go in any random crowd, yell whose house. You'll get at least one response, the correct response. All right, number 3, Justice, what do you got?
It's Sucker MCs. I think it changed the game. It opened up, hip hop, expanded it to the world. And some songs, they just like it's like you hear the first line and like, I don't care where you are, you could be like in a cave in Tibet. And if I was like 2 years ago, a friend of mine's like a monk would jump out, and be like, ask me to say some MC rhymes. It's one of those things, like if I was in the crowd and I was like, it's been a long time, somebody's gonna be like, since I left you, that kind of stuff. It's just like there's very few things I would literally consider iconic, and I consider that song iconic.
Might be one of the most iconic opening lines. I mean, you're right. There's people in every country who could finish that line if you started it. No doubt about it. Sucker MC is so important. I know I said it already, but younger generation, go peep out Sucker MCs. It's such an important record. All right, number 2. This originally I thought was going to be my number one, but it got bumped to number two. Someone brought it up earlier, but it's on 1988's Tougher Than Leather, Beats to the Rhyme. This might be their best song ever. I just think it's flawless, perfect, classic beat, and Run DMC ride it so perfectly. The changing of the beat. It's another song full of classic lines that have lived on till today. This is just some straight b-boy music that made me fall in love with the culture, back when I was a kid. Beats to the Rhyme comes on, it's impossible for me not to bob my head and just transport myself back to the 80s. I think this is as perfect a Run DMC song as was ever made. It's not my number one, but I think it's probably their best. Not the most iconic, the best. So, Beats to the Rhyme. Last time I'm saying the word best. Raven, what's number two for you?
Rockbox. I believe that is the first song I ever heard from Run DMC. That's on the '84 album, if I'm not mistaken. It's such a great beat, and it's kind of one of the songs I think of when I think about Run DMC, and I think it's because it really was one of the first songs I remember hearing from them. And I wasn't even really into hip hop that much before that, so that shit drew me in. That whole album, really. So that Eazy-E made me a rapper, but it was Run DMC that really gave me the love for the sound of rap in the first place. And Rockbox is always going to have that special part for me.
Yeah, that was on my honorable mentions, and it was hard not to have that on the list. Justice, number two for you.
Number two for me is Rockbox. And I think because I just think about, like, I guess like from an MC point of view, from like a music standard, I just think it was just phenomenal what they did, because then you didn't hear too many like rap tracks that incorporated rock. Like, there might have been a little guitar and stuff like that, but this was like heavy like rock, where a guitar solo, and it's just the fact that they made that work. And I think about it, and it's like, it was such a statement, like saying that Run DMC was taking over like all genres of music, because even in the video they walk in and they like, this is like I think busts of the Beatles, and like they put their hat over one of their head, like, it's like a statement, like, all like the pop culture and rock stuff, like they're going to take that over too. So I thought that was just a pivotal point in hip hop, because I think after that other people tried other things. They delved into rock, they delved into guitar more, to mixing that with like the break beats, and look for music in other areas, to scratch or to use records. Like, if there was no Rockbox, nobody would have been rhyming off of Jack and Diane.
Yeah, if you look pre-Run DMC, most of those hip hop beats are more disco-y, poppy sounding beats. So they really,
and it was a hard song. It's
it was
a hard
song, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Okay, number one, and I'm gonna go out on a tangent. This is 1985's King of Rock. You know what song I'm picking? Kings of Rock. This was the song that caught my ear. This song alone, my cousin played it. I was like, what are they doing with the English language? It blew my mind. I'm in grade school. This is 85, and it's blown my mind. I begged my dad for this tape, just begged him until he just couldn't take it anymore. And I got this tape. I would play it over and over until I knew every lyric. I was the only probably 8-year-old kid in Wisconsin who could recite King of Rock from front to back to front in 1985, 86. This song was like a drug to me. I couldn't get enough. And then it just led me down the road, and the rest was history. And even if you take the personal aspect away, it's an iconic song. For over 5 minutes, they kill it. And not talk about iconic lines. There's so many iconic lines in King of Rock. It's just classic Run DMC. The back and forth flow, the hardcore beats with the guitar in the background. In the video, they go into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and the guy says, "You don't belong here." And they prove that not only do they belong, they should have their own wing. Run DMC, Kings of Rock will always be my favorite. Run DMC song will always probably be in my top 5 songs, period, ever, because of the personal things, but it's still dope on its own. So I had to make that number one. What is number one on your list and your heart, Raven?
So I don't want nobody to hate me or hit me for my choice here on number one,
Oh
because
shit.
this is really out of fucking left field. 2000s WWF aggression, the Kings Degeneration X theme is my favorite Run DMC
Wow.
song of all time. And it's essentially the Kings of Rock, but with the Degeneration X theme beat. I'm, the Hunter from Raven Hunter comes from Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Triple H. I fucking love DMX, also
DX.
DMX, but I
Yeah.
fucking love DX. And so when Run DMC did their theme song, I lost my fucking mind. I was like 18, and yeah, I lost my shit when that came out. So that's always gonna have that, like, that's my shit in my heart.
I mean, everyone knows that Shawn Michaels carried that group, but apart from
Oh, get
that,
the fuck out of here
apart
with
from
that
that,
shit.
apart from that, I don't I don't remember that song. I'm sure I heard it, but I probably haven't heard it since 2000. Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that would have make anyone's list. They did another WWF album, or is that the aggression one? Is that what it's off of?
The all rap album, yeah, because
Yeah,
like
yeah,
T
like
Murder did the Gangrel theme,
yeah, Method Ice-T was on there. He did
yeah,
Godfather.
and
Method
Method
Man did
Man
like The
did The
Rock.
Rock.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I remember that album. So I know I heard that song. Triple H is overrated. As Shawn Michaels was the shit.
I mean, Shawn Michaels is a legend, but get the fuck out of here. Come on.
Number one, Justice. What made your
Okay,
number one?
let me just say, fuck DX.
Oh,
I
you
don't.
hate them
Oh,
both.
come on. Come on.
I'm an NWO guy.
Oh shit.
Hey, I got no hate for NWO either, but
Okay, well,
WCW
DX,
NWO.
DX was just a sad try to copy of the NWO.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were way funnier. That was the thing.
They were a copy, no doubt about it.
NWO. I mean, let's see. I was an honorable member back in the days. I was made an honorable member by some of them. So,
Oh,
Fuck yeah, nice.
but this is probably gonna shock everyone. My number one Run DMC song is "My Adidas," and
Iconic.
and the reason I say it's for two aspects. That was like the first song like a rap person or a rap group ever did as a marketing thing, because they got paid, from Adidas for doing that because I thought that was just ingenious to do a song, and that's when people started thinking about doing songs or wearing certain things or like trying to get, like promotions from like different kind of labels or like different kind of like clothing brands. So I thought that was a pivotal moment in terms of marketing and how far hip hop could go. But also, to my recollection, I might be wrong, that was the first beat I ever heard that dropped the heavy, like the second beat, like that goes like doom doom like that. That was the first time I ever heard a beat like that. And that's been done like for like on almost every song since then. But I remember when I first heard it, I was like, oh, what is that second deep beat in that? And that, that really caught my ear. And I thought I'd never heard that before. I always remember that, even to this day, I have songs where I put a beat in like that, and it's just, I thought that was just such an innovative song on so many different levels.
no, it's completely iconic for all the reasons you said. It was on my honorable mentions. If I see Adidas, I think Run DMC. This is a true story
To this day.
to this day.
Mhm.
So it not only is synonymous with Run DMC, but hip hop, b-boy. I mean, it became such a huge part. No, that was an honorable mention. I'm glad it made someone's list. And speaking of honorable mentions, most of them got names. I'm surprised, but a few that did not get named. If a song didn't get named by anyone, I think it needs some love. I just name it. Hard Times off that first record is also a dope one. You be illin.
You be illin, yeah.
You be illin. That almost made my list. Tougher Than Leather, the track. And you said it by accident before, Raven. Can I Get a Yo? After Down with the King, that was my next favorite one on that record. And just so I named something off of that Crown Royal album, The one I like the most, I think, is the first one. Jermaine Dupri's just talking, but Run kills that beat. It's called "It's Over." But
And
otherwise,
there's a song. I'm not sure what album it was called. Pause.
that was on the Back from Hell. That was like the single. It's real New Jacky.
Yeah.
The other single,
I didn't like a lot of other stuff, but that song I liked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a tough album. They really took a left turn on that one, and luckily corrected course.
Well, you know when that New Jack stuff came,
everyone, you're right. Everyone was doing it.
Everybody tried to, you know, a lot of people were like, you know, what the fuck.
Yeah. Well, another list. We finally did the Kings of Rock, probably the most important group in hip hop history. Not probably. I think they are the most important. Rest in peace to Jam Master Jay. I was lucky enough to meet all three of them backstage at a show. I've been 99, but they will always be the Kings. Even in 100 years from now, no one will
I met them.
them.
I met them when I was younger. Like I opened for them. I also met DMC at a club too when we actually sat down at rhyme for him.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. Yeah. No doubt, the Kings. All right, another successful round table. We are out.
All right.
A B-boy, from the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East coast to the west, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed. Still a B-boy, from the old to the new, still a B-boy. Too bold for the school, still a B-boy. East coast to the west, B-boys worldwide, we supposed to be blessed.